Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Anin,
And I'm Kamran.
and this is the 6th episode of the Collab.podcast.
Yes, so today we have a really cool guy actually. We have Nikhil on. So I met
wouldn't
Nikhil.
go that far.
That was really cool. That's why we're having him on the podcast. So that was my first impression of him. We met. I think we only met once physically actually. During when I was first in Leeds in last October.
So like within your first month of uni, right? When you just moved. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember Nikhil telling us about him taking a gap year off after your second year.
Well, midway through my second year actually.
Midway through. Alright, we can talk about that later.
Sure.
Ooh,
That's interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, so Nikhil here is a rapper actually, and his top song, The Tribe is it?
Tribe, yeah.
Tribe, yeah, has 57,000 listeners on Spotify, which is really impressive.
Woo!
So we'll be talking about that more. So yeah. So I think this podcast is basically about doing something you're passionate in, not only pursuing your studies, doing something on the side, potentially making a livelihood out of a hobby. You don't really have to do what you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think this is where this podcast is going to head. I'm
glad to be on this podcast. Hello to your listeners. I like the idea of turning your passions into your livelihood. I think we've never lived in an era where that's as practically possible as it is today. There's so many things you can use the internet for in order to create, businesses and marketing sort of strategies around your talent. So yeah, great podcast to do, especially in university, because you're going to meet so many people doing so many different sort of things, and the likelihood of you collaborating with people while you're in university is about as high as it gets, I think. So if your listeners are about our age or our generation, I think this is a good show to be doing, man.
Yeah,
Hey,
I was honestly so amazed when Kamran told me he knows a guy that raps, and then he sends me this Spotify link, and then I listened to all your songs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's actually so good. Who's this guy that Kamran knows in person? I was so
in real
amazed,
life.
dude.
In real life.
Dude, yeah.
Thank you. You guys are so sweet.
honor.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoy the music.
Yeah, I can't believe I've never met you in Leeds.
I mean,
You were
look, if you're gonna
crazy.
take a year off to do one album, it may as well sound good, right? That's my logic.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's actually so good. Okay, so we have a few questions that we want to ask you.
Go for it.
Okay, so the first one will be, when did you start rapping?
Okay. So I think I've always enjoyed rap music, and I've always had a lot of rappers that I listened to, and so I was able to sort of rap along better than my friends. So, but
Ooh.
not like
Wait,
the kind of thing where it was.
Can you rap along Eminem?
Yeah, for sure.
Ooh. Are you serious? That's
Are you
so
asking
cool.
for a demonstration?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
All right. This is from Cleaning Up My Closet from MMLP 2 or 1, one of those. Nah, I'd never diss my own mama just to get recognition. Take a second to listen. Who you think this record is dissing? Just put yourself in my position. Try to envision witnessing your mama popping prescription pills in the kitchen. Yeah, okay, that's it. Hey, you get there.
Yo, that's good.
Thank you. Eminem is one of my favorite rappers. And if you grow up in Southeast Asia as we did, you're not going to get in touch with a lot of hip hop, a lot of the culture of hip hop and a lot of the musicians that were making this beautiful music. What trickled down to where we lived and the radio stations that we would have listened to at that time would be people like Eminem. Even more weirdly, it would be like Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park, or a little bit of Fort Minor. You'd hear Snoop Dogg, but we never got that huge, full picture of hip hop that you would get if you really get into it, right? So yeah, as much as I have been listening and rapping along to other rappers and stuff over the years since I was a kid, I think I only started writing and rapping my own stuff in 2014, around about the time when I was in the army.
So how old were you in 2014?
19.
19.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Young man.
So who's your
man.
favorite rapper of all time?
Oh man, that's such a great question. So like, there's so many things you can do with rap, and in for certain things, I have favorite rappers. So like flow, or like lyrics, or like vocal tone and stuff like
Oh
this.
man,
But
there's so many.
a few names that come to mind are people like Biggie Smalls, Jay-Z, Nas, Kendrick Lamar, Eminem for sure. Yeah, just those are the ones that just come off the top of my head right now.
That's so cool.
Andre 3000. Lupe Fiasco, Logic. I could keep going on.
Oh, he's just listing a bunch of rappers right now.
And they're all excellent. They're all excellent rappers in so many different ways. But like, yeah, since I do this, like, I am aware of so many different rappers and so many different styles. It's impossible to pick a favorite rapper, I have to say.
So like, when you learn how to rap, do you just follow along the rappers, or are there some exercises you have to train, like move your mouth or something? How do you actually?
Oh wow.
Oh,
I guess I didn't really think of it that way. I didn't approach it so academically. At least like when I was just doing it for fun. And like, to be fair, I do it for fun because it's fun. When I took it seriously and wanted to produce at a certain level of quality, then study it as an art form and see what I can do to improve on my own performance of each of these things. But at the outset, when I was just doing it for fun and all this kind of stuff, what attracted me to it was just the speed and the rhythm and just the idea of words just flowing like that. It's different from singing. You don't necessarily have a lot of like melodic dynamism. You don't have a lot of that, like Mariah Carey comes to mind for like melodic dynamism when it comes to singing. You've got so many different pitches that you hit. In hip hop and in rap, you're not doing so much with the melody, but percussively. It's almost like it felt like I was listening to drums using the human voice, and I really, really like that. So it was just a question of like, can I keep in the same rhythm as this particular track while saying things? And that became what was really fun about it at the outset for me.
I'm always so amazed by how rappers don't jumble up their words when they speak so fast.
Me too. Until today, like when I hear like a really good verse, I'm like, God damn, man! Like, always so surprising, right? It's so yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, I've tried and it doesn't sound pretty.
Hey, you never know, man. Maybe you haven't found the right artist to start with. Like for some reason, Eminem I could just always do Eminem. But there's some rappers that I can't rap along to, for sure. It just depends on what kind of suits the way you speak. And also the kind of like, I think it has a lot to do with lyrics as well. If the lyrics really hit you somewhere and you feel them, you're gonna have to synergy remembering them because you already know what the lyrics are saying. So then you're actually rapping, right? It's just yeah, that's how I look at it.
It's all about passion, man.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about your gap year? So
No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
No.
Oh, shit.
The end.
What do you want to know?
So like, what made you take a gap year, and like, how do you go?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so after in uni, like summer break, we decided to go on a holiday with my cousin Daniel, who's also a musician. And neither of us had put out any original music at this point. But we decided to go on this trip, and we were just, I think we were in Amsterdam at this point in time. And we were only there for like a week or so. But Daniel brought his guitar with me. I started off as a writer. That was my path into music, was as a writer. Melody, harmony, all this stuff came later, like actually lyrics, and Daniel was just working on like chords and stuff. And us being around each other at that point in time when we were both on holiday, I was like, some interesting ideas are really coming to me now, and so I started writing. At the end of that trip, I had about 6 of the 13 songs were already written in just that 1 week, and so I was like, wow, conceptually this whole thing is already really coming together. I can see what I'd like it to be as a whole project, and that was the idea. It was because I had this thing that I felt pretty much halfway done, at least in terms of the writing side of things. I felt like, let me take a year off, go home, produce this whole thing, get in touch with the right people, get in touch with the right studio, and just put it out there.
Dang.
Okay.
So when your inspiration hit you, you could bang out 6 songs in one trip.
I mean, that's how it is. right? You don't ever,
Yeah.
you hardly ever see it in that way, and I think that's what all creatives have in common is that you may understand your own process. Like you may know, like if I live my life in a certain way, I am more open to this inspiration, but you can't control it. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not, and I think for me, it's a very much into when I feel like my idea of something has changed, I feel compelled to express that, and more often than not, that turns into a song, rather than like, oh, cool idea, and then that hardly ever becomes something compelling for me. It's usually like something inside me changes, and then that's something I feel like expressing. Those are the ones that I enjoy writing. So yeah.
So you would say if you didn't go on the trip, you wouldn't have the inspiration to come up with this album?
Definitely not. No chance. I would never have taken it that seriously, right? Because it was only when I was on that trip at that exact and things were happening in my personal life as well that just compelled me to write. I mean, I've always been a writer, but I never really sat down and wrote songs. I mean, I did like a few hip hop songs here and there, but like they were just for fun. But the gravity of the emotions that I was feeling at the time and the way it was coming out of me, it just felt so natural and easy and good that I was like, okay, this is a thing. I'm just part of the process at this point. I'm just gonna let this happen and see what it takes, what shape it takes. And I looked at it and I was like, dude, this is an album. So let's go make it.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's
Can I just ask?
how it was for me. And
Yeah. Can I ask you about your inspiration for your lyrics? Because I think they're very like, okay, I can remember this line. What my mother called me Dinesh or something from the tribe.
My grandma calls me.
My grandma, sorry, my
Yeah.
grandma called me Dinesh. Yeah. So where do you get all this
So-
inspiration from, like specifically?
Man, so that particular line, I'll answer your first question in a second. It's really like writing and stuff like that. But for this particular line, like, so my grandmother on my dad's side suffers from schizophrenia, and over the course of time that she's been on medication for this, her memory and her cognitive abilities have sort of shifted in and out of regular sort of states. And my dad's name is Dinesh, and whenever I'm in Singapore, I mean, apart. I would see her, every week. And at a certain point, I think she saw me at home with his name, just because for her, reality was starting to blur a little bit. And how subjective are based on conditions, psychologically, emotionally, physically, it all affects the way that you interpret your. And so when I was writing this song about tribe, which is about my family, I wanted this to be like the comparison, like look at all this shit that's going down, in this family, and we're taking it so seriously, while you have all the tools that you require through this empathy. My grandma doesn't have those tools. She can't even tell her son and grandson apart. So, your attitude, what are you guys really trying to do here? It was like a contrast thing.
Oh, I like that idea. It's really creative.
Thank you.
So I'm curious what did your family think when you told them, I'm going to take a year off school and just rap?
Okay, everyone in my family is creative to some degree. In their specific fields and stuff. Who's older than me, almost 2 years older than me. Yeah, he's like a bona fide.
Nikhil, can we
been in
just
visual
stop?
arts for over a decade. He's now gone into marketing and copy. Yeah.
Sorry, because you're lagging quite a bit. So maybe if you could do something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's,
hold on. Let me.
Okay. So what we can do is we can start off from where Ming asked.
Sorry about that, guys. Give me a second.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah. It's fine. I can edit that out.
I think it might just. 1 second. I'll be right back.
No worries.
Oh man, yeah, my Wi-Fi is a bit sketchy right now.
Is this the time where all the gamers come out?
No, I think my modem was knocked off its resting spot by my cat recently, and ever since then our Wi-Fi has been a bit sketchy. So I'm using data right now, but yeah, as long as it works. Is this okay? I can't see you guys right now for some reason. I think it's lagging a bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now it's here.
Okay, you're coming back in. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Should we continue?
Yeah, I think we just ask. I mean, you could ask the question
Oh
again
yeah.
for your family and
Oh,
friends.
ask it again.
Yeah, and now just
I
continue from
think.
there. Yep.
All right.
Oh,
So what
yeah.
did? Should I ask it again?
Yeah, because I can't really hear that part. That's the thing. The other parts
Okay.
were okay. I can edit it. Yep.
Okay, sure. So what did your family think when you told them you wanted to take a year off to pursue your rapping career?
Right. Everyone in family is creative to some degree. But I have a brother called Nirad who's about 2 years older than me, who's a bona fide artist. He's been in visual arts for about 10 years and or at least more than 10 years at this point, and he's now gone into copywriting and marketing and stuff. When I told him I was going to come back and do this album, immediately understood. Like, oh, okay, so you're ready. It's not a question of like, is this good or bad? It's like, now you're ready to do it, so do it, right? But my whole family was very much supportive. The only person who was a little bit like skeptical, I would say, was probably my mother. She did the same thing I did, and she went into practice almost immediately afterwards. And for her, it was like, oh, how is this going to affect your career if you go on and practice law after this, and blah 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 blah. You know, is it going to take time off and blah blah blah. And I was like, in all honesty, I 2 years off to do my military service. If I take another year off to do something completely different that is also equally important to me as the education I'm getting from this university, I consider that part of development. And I'll be happy to explain to any interviewer not only why I did it, but the value that I got out of this entire experience of going into a completely less run-of-the-mill working arts industry for an album, producing it, funding it, getting it sort of marketed properly and so that people could listen to it and stuff like this. The entire experience was really valuable, even from a non-music perspective. But also, if somebody doesn't want to hire me because I spent a year on my passions, then don't hire me.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good approach to take.
That's the way. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing it, but if you can calculate the risks and the risks are too high for you to do it, which is honestly the case. I was privileged enough to be able to do that. I could afford to take 1 year off and come back home. Mind you, I was working like in Singapore to pay bills and stuff. While but I loved what I was doing, so it didn't feel like it didn't feel too much. I was able to handle it. Yeah, if you really want to do it, you'll do it. If it's something that you feel like too much risk, then that's understandable.
That's great. You were so solid. Like nothing could change your mind, right?
Not even a little bit, no.
Yeah. Impressive. That's very impressive. You have to be so passionate about something to do that, to be so confident in it. Oh, that's so good.
I think that's the good thing about passion, right? Is that passion kind of ignites your talent. Like your talent is a potential in a way, but passion really gets to the heart of it. Your technique, you can catch up. You can always work on you know what I mean? Like, but you to find out where your talent really lies, you have to engage in those. And this experience, I think, longs when I was in Amsterdam, truly ignited my talent. I was like, oh damn, I can do this at a pretty high level. So if I get in touch with the right people who can fill in the remaining pieces of the puzzle to turn this from a successful project. And I was so confident that was going to be the case that I just...
Yeah, I know, because 1 year is quite a long time. So I think if people wanted to pursue their passion, they might lose their motivation along the way. So what did you do to keep you motivated? Or was it just because of your passion that you were never unmotivated?
I think understanding that my talent was at a certain level, or let's say passion is a better word. My passion was at a certain level, but in order to execute these concepts, there was a lot of work I had to do with my technique. I can rap and I can write, but I also need to arrange music. I also need to get the right parts of things that I was not an expert. So there was a lot of learning on the job in terms of like doing this album, which in all has been my greatest lesson as a musician, was actually going straight into music production and seeing what it actually takes to go from a concept to an executed product. the things that can go into that at every stage is mind-blowing. There's always so much to learn. Finding out how much was a very humbling but also complete experience. Like, oh my God, there's so much I can go and learn. And that makes me X or Y or Z. Yeah, just kept at it because the motivation came from understanding that it can keep getting better. So it's my time because I believed in the song. And how good we can make these songs by the time we have to put them out. That was kind of the idea.
Oh.
Basically, because I really believed in the project, there was a lot of work I could, and being the of that process kept me motivated. I was happy to keep getting better and better. That was where my motivation came from.
Dang. So you talked about how mind-blowing it was to see an idea come to life, right? So I'm curious about the logistics behind it. How was it like trying to find a record company and trying to put your song on Spotify? And what else? What platform did you use? Did you use Apple Music?
So I put my music on Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer, and less known streaming platforms, but basically where people listen to music. That was the idea. It's even on iTunes, so if you want to buy the album, like as an album, you can do that as well.
Ooh.
Okay.
But until like finding a studio, I mean, I had some connections to the music industry in Singapore because like a bunch of musicians, and there's no shortage of studios. Can I find people who and know how to produce not just any song but my songs, because it's hip hop and it's like lyrical based. And I was meet a group of people called who run a studio called Beep Studios, and they just loved the idea from the start. I was working with a guy called Nikhil Senan, who was my sound engineer, and Nico Homaili, who made and the three of us just basically got together and tried our best to execute these songs.
Oh, Luke Nicholas Fu, you included him in one of your songs, right? His name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's the sound engineer, actually, by the way. He did the mixing for the entire album. But yeah, he was also on Nala, and he played guitar. He did the song "All Here Is Now," and yeah, so he was all over this thing.
So basically all the people that got featured in your album were your musical friends.
That as well, and my friend with the Tribe, she was actually my classmate from school. I always thought she was a brilliant singer, and she came in and she nailed it. I had a family friend, Lian Kim, who came in and did the vocals for the hook for Nala. She also has a wonderful voice, and she also nailed it. So yeah, I was blessed to have people that were willing to work for free, because we've known each other. They wanted to just help me, with my song, and they believed in the idea and stuff. Yeah, I think all around, it was having people with the same idea as me, which was like, let's just do this. You know what I mean? Like, let's make some music, and they were happy to do it without stretching my budget. Let's just say,
That's so great to have people around you with the same passion.
Yeah. Oh, and as for who doesn't love music, right? Like, friends have never had the opportunity to record. This was one of those things where I think everybody got out this that they wanted to experience, which was really. I know, yeah. To answer your final question, my studio had connections with Spotify and stuff like this, so they were able to just start an artist profile for me, and then get my stuff onto playlists and stuff like this. That's basically how.
Yeah. So did your brother design your
Subsequent
album
to
cover?
that, Spotify has created a new Spotify. So no, my brother and me collaborated on the album cover. So he's a photographer and a visual artist. So he took that headshot of me, and then we sat down and we thought about how we wanted to look and stuff like this. And he did all the Photoshop. We discussed it. The product you see is basically a creation of me and Narada.
That's so cool.
Hence why it says parental advisory Senan content.
Yeah. I noticed.
It was a Senan thing.
Senan content.
So yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I I would consider your first album to be a hit. Would you come up with future albums?
Absolutely. I'm working on. I just like. It's definitely. Yeah. Hope it gets better and better. It's something that you keep learning from. You sit down and try to produce some such songs are actually produced and what you can do with all the technique that you have. So a couple of songs coming out in the next few months. Stay tuned and.
Wait, Nikhil, sorry. Can you okay? Let me ask that again because that was quite laggy.
That was very bad, lad.
Yeah, it was quite bad. Like I think we should do that again because it's quite an important part.
Oh man, this lag is so bad, dude. This lag is so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot what I asked. Oh, future albums?
Yeah, future albums. Yeah, just start from there and then I'll just.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, are you gonna come up with future albums? Because I'm really excited for more.
Thank you. I'm really glad that you are. And I'm glad that people actually are continuously asking me when my next album is coming out and stuff like this. For the moment, I don't actually have any plans for like a full-length album because that takes a lot of commitment and time as well. But I will be putting out a few singles over the next few months, and based on feedback from that, I'll see what the likelihood is that I'll be able to set enough time aside and funding aside to do a full-length album again. Of course, the way that music works these days as well is that not a lot of us really sit down and consume albums start to finish. As an artist myself, I'm happy to do projects like that because then I can really like go into detail with like the concept of the album and it becomes a whole different thing. But I've been working on my craft, happy to put out singles and just test the waters and see how people react to that as well.
Yeah, that's what a lot of artists do, right? They release a lot of singles and teasers, and then in the end they just compile it and add a few more songs and it becomes an album. Is that
I know,
thing?
I hate that. I hate that idea
right?
of like your album just being a playlist. I don't like the idea of your album being a playlist, but I guess I don't think that's how I approach it. Album, you would not hear. It wouldn't be like all the singles I put out because there's no thematic. Like you're saying something. It's like my most recent shit. That's not an album. Sorry, I don't mean to. Yeah, if I was gonna do an album, I would finish and try and tell a story. You know?
Yeah, I get it. Cause it's basically just a playlist. You're right. I didn't think of it that way until you said it. It's just a playlist. It's not an album anymore.
It is. It depends on the artist. It really depends on the artist, and it also depends on your end goal. And a lot of people who do music these days, the end goal is actually to be an influencer and to sell merchandise and to go into marketing and stuff like this because that has its own career prospects. I'm not. I just like making good music, which in a way means I have to have some element of my career as time goes on. Because if you want to make it in this industry, you absolutely have to be connected to people on social media and you have to be capable of marketing brands. But when it comes to like the bare bones of like what do, I like strength. I like the entire thing to be art, to say something, not just be a collection of random songs.
So Kamran mentioned to me that you graduated from a law degree from Uni of Leeds.
Yes.
So I'm curious why you didn't pursue music.
Okay, this is the amazing thing, right? I actually became a much better writer because of law school.
Ooh.
Like doing law truly unlocked the accuracy of my writing style. I always had ideas and I always had like skill, but the sheer accuracy that law sort of brought out of me when I started writing music and art, I realized that it was a different beast already, and that's when it became really fun because I could just go to the heart of a concept and just turn my songs into as narrow a concept as I want or as broad a concept as I want. I felt like law school and the training I got from law school gave me that control. So yeah, I can understand how it looks crazy from the outside, but to me it's like, dude, if I didn't do law, I wouldn't be writing as well as I write now. So it all comes together in that regard.
Thanks. So you really never know.
Exactly.
Things will just come in
You really
handy.
never know. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Life is like that, right? Like if
Yeah.
if you put two things that seem unconnected together, chances are nothing will come out of it. But sometimes something really cool will come out of it, and I think that's what
Yeah,
makes
and
life
now
really fun.
Yeah, you have 2 professions now. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I really enjoy. Oh, is Kamran still here?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, sorry, my
Yeah.
Skype just did a thing. My bad.
No worries.
Okay. Yeah. So I do kind of have 2 professions at this point in time. And ironically, I'm probably going into neither of them full time. Like I think I might actually go into professional writing as a career. That's something that
Ooh.
yeah, writing has always been my first love in all honesty. And as we've discussed, like law really brought that side out of me. And I was able to hone my technique, not just academically but creatively as well. And so when I started looking at things that I could do, I was like, yeah, I could practice law, which would be great, and I think I would enjoy the career. It'd be challenging, it'd be fun, but it wouldn't really it wouldn't tap into as many parts of me and as many parts of my skills as professional writing in and of itself would, and that's something that I've always wanted to do as a job. And here we are in the middle of a pandemic. I'm looking at what jobs are available, and obviously it's a tough time to be looking for a job. But I take that as an opportunity to just research as many types of fields as possible. So yeah, I might go into writing for like script writing for content creators and stuff like this, or going into like a whole different line altogether, man.
Oh, you know, like you can write our M Night script for leads.
I would be happy to work with you guys on that.
Yeah, honestly, you can.
100%.
Okay, wait. I'm not sure if Karan can hear me, cause he's kind of lagging.
Yeah, he's frozen on my screen for some reason.
Yeah, he's frozen too on mine.
Hmm.
Okay, I guess I'll just talk to you about the M Night thing. So we're offering
Go ahead.
£100 to anyone who script writes
Okay.
our M Night. So
Do you
we
guys
would love
have a
it
script
if you
already?
could submit. No. So
Okay.
we're opening it to people, and they'll just submit it, and we'll filter it,
Right.
and the chosen one gets £100.
I'm gonna be like savagely honest with you guys. £100 is way below my pay grade. Like to write a play. It's like way below. Like
I mean, it's like charity because it's Uni of Leeds.
I know.
You have a soft spot for it.
Think of it
Given
as
the
charity.
I absolutely do. Here's what I'll do. Here's what I'll do for you guys for free. You don't have to pay me for this. But whoever ends up writing your script that you pick, I'll help you edit it. I'll take whatever you guys end up going with, and I'll edit it for you guys. How does that sound?
Ooh, I like that idea.
Yeah. So you can talk
great.
to people, and as long as they have like a good idea and a basic first draft, I will work with you guys to edit it into something that really fits like the format that you guys will be performing it in and that kind of thing. I'll do that just out of love.
All right.
Aw,
Thank you.
thanks.
Hey man,
Yeah.
it's all
So
good.
you won't be returning to Leeds.
Not for the foreseeable future. It's so hard to travel these days at all. So I think it's tough to imagine when and how I'll be back in the UK. But I really miss it. I really miss my friends that are living now in London and Manchester and all over the place. And I miss the whole climate there. I miss the arts over there.
The weather.
I know. You know, as much as we complain about how cold it is out there, it's way too hot here, lad. So I don't know anymore, man.
Honestly.
I don't know anymore.
Honestly, you just sweat everywhere you go.
Where's the shop in between, lad? I don't know where it is. It's like too cold over there. It's too hot over here. I'm just like over
honestly,
here.
I have no idea.
Standing in front of my fridge open, just like, okay, I guess this is the best we can do, lad.
I mean, we're people, man. We always complain.
Yeah, that's true. I'm glad to be home as well, to be fair. But yeah. So you guys have 2 years left in uni. You just finished first year.
So I finished first year. Kamran finished his second year.
Second year.
Yeah,
okay,
I transferred. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel about completing? Sorry, now I'm interviewing you, but how do you guys feel about completing university during a pandemic? That must be a really strange time.
I think for me it was really chill because I'm first year, so they don't focus on first year when the pandemic hit. they were like, okay, just finish your assignment and we'll either pass you or fail you based on your current score. So it was quite easy to pass first year, to be honest. We didn't have exams. They just canceled all our exams, made us finish our assignments, and that's it, because they're focusing on the second and third years.
Yeah,
so it's really chill for me.
We definitely had a weird time trying to convert all our assignments and everything into.
Especially you were trying to graduate.
I know. I was doing my dissertation like on the plane back, man. It was crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
The insane thing is, like, my whole batch had to do like at least half of their dissertation like without even being able to access a library or anything like this. So it was it was a bit of a nightmare.
I forget you law students need books.
We do.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes
we're all about that life, man.
Wait, Nikhil, are you not planning to take the bar?
No, not yet. I could always do that in the future, but for the time being, no, it's not on my radar.
So you could always do it in Singapore.
So
after you got a UK degree.
I could do it in Singapore. I could do it in the UK. Those are my two options to take the bar.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, I guess I could take the bar in Australia, but I have no intentions of living there, so it's just one of those things. Commonwealth. If you live in and study law in a Commonwealth country, it's applicable in most places.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Kamran, did you have a question?
So are your plans now to... Yes, I do. Since you're not going to next year, are you going to like pursue your career in writing?
Oh, dude, I think you lagged a little bit there. I couldn't quite hear what you said.
I think he's straight up lagging, dude.
Straight up lagging. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, my internet's quite bad. Okay. Yeah. So since you're not going to do the bar in the next year, are you going to pursue your career in writing?
Definitely. I mean, one way or another, I'm going to find a way to turn what I do into a legitimately practical career. Obviously, my heart is in the arts and in creative expression and stuff like this, but I'd like to begin with something that has a lot of, or at least a healthy degree of commercial viability, whether that means going into like media and stuff like this, or just like social media content creation. That would be like a sweet spot for me, because I'm really good at writing scripts. I'm really good at like writing stuff that can be turned into videos. The question is, especially because when you do a degree in law, you really learn how to do research, right? So if you're creating content for YouTube, whatever the area is, I could come in for you and research for you and write your script. And then you can put your personality and spin it however you want, but you'll have good content just right off the bat. That's something that I'm looking at doing. But if that doesn't work out, then I have a couple of industries to fall back on. I could always go into journalism or writing for magazines, editorials, that sort of thing. But I mean, that's honestly like a second choice. I want to do something. So basically, I'm starting with as creative an industry as I can, and then if they don't work out, then I'll fall back onto more and more practical sort of traditional writing gigs.
I think you can do well in creative writing.
I agree, which is why I'm doing it. I really hope that like so this is a mad thing, right? If this pandemic hadn't hit, I would not even have come back to Singapore. I would have moved from Singapore to Amsterdam almost immediately and done an internship with a magazine. That was my plan. But everything completely changed, and now that I'm back here, and as you guys know, Singapore is not the most creatively inclined country in the world. So the industries that I wanted to sort of break into in Europe, they're not as practically accessible here. But there is still a bunch of stuff that I'm considering where I can work from Singapore, but with companies or groups that are based overseas. So if you're like a content creator anywhere in the world and all you need is a script writer, I can research and write this stuff for you here and just see how that works out now. I've been trolling through LinkedIn, and there's a couple of decent content creators who are hiring right now, and yeah, might be something that I look into in the future.
This pandemic made people realize working from home can be really efficient as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't you guys think?
I don't have to deal with people. Are you kidding me? This is dope. Like,
that's great.
Honestly,
it's
I
amazing.
Relate. Bro, I relate. That's so true. Because before that, nobody would think working from home would be a good idea, because people would be like, oh no, they'll be lazy, they won't be doing their work. But I've heard there's actually so many businesses booming because of the pandemic. When you're at home and you have so much time.
And people are just turning in better
happen,
quality
man.
work now because they don't have to
Yeah,
spend so
things
much
happen.
energy on all the social bullshit that comes with being in an office, right? No, honestly, I think it's a matter of perspective. The only reason we have offices and most of us show up to them is because it's a matter of convention, right? That's the conventional way in which corporate entities are run. But if you look at the way that we actually conduct ourselves and the work that we're actually doing, almost all of our work can be done on laptops at home. There's not a lot of work that requires us in this era actually coming into a thing and doing it. So if you can handle a meeting properly on Zoom and you can actually pretty much do whatever it is you're doing from home, there's no reason why your business should fail. But as you mentioned, the crazy irony of it was that people now working on their own schedules are just turning in higher quality fucking end products. I find that amazing and kind of inspiring.
Yeah, honestly. And they save a lot of time actually. To travel alone saves a lot of time to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And
right?
It's having a great impact on the environment as well. The amount of like the pressure on like diesel consumption and transport and all the energy that's spent on just getting people to and from their offices is substantial. And taking that into account, like, yeah, it's better for the environment as well.
Yeah, dude. You know when the MCO started, the gas price dropped so much.
I know, it tanked.
Because nobody was getting gas.
Yeah.
But I think it's back up now because people are going out.
It's stabilizing, and I think people a lot of investors bought into oil and gas when their prices tanked, so they also kind of pushed it up from the demand side. But
yeah, I really like your I like your way of thinking. I like because a lot of people who especially do law degree don't see the versatility in it. So I really like how you're approaching your career and starting content writing and things, because it's definitely it's definitely commercially viable. And
thank you, man. I
think
really
it's something
that.
which
that's really my
something
message
which
as a human being, right? Is that it's up to you how you use your skills. Don't just assume that if you're in law school, you're meant to be a lawyer. Don't assume that if you went to medical school, you can only be a doctor. At the level at which you learn things at university, I honestly agree that the content you're learning is one thing, but the skills you learn are the real value that you gain. An example is with law, you really learn how to write.
Man.
You really learn how to research. You really learn how to like express your ideas and compile information and convert that information into knowledge. That's like you can do with that what you want. Like if your concern is like, okay, look, I spent all this money on uni, I need to go and earn a lot of money now, and like I want to go and practice law. That's absolutely fair and good. But we live in a time where so much is going on, man. Like if you're just like rejecting all of your passions out of hand, you're not seeing some of the opportunities that are out there. There are so many interesting opportunities out there for which, whether you know it or not, you are so qualified. So dream big and like see whether it works for you. Try it out. See whether there's things that you can use the skills that you've gained for. Like if you know how to work a laptop and you know how to like express your ideas in at least 2 or 3 like media-based formats, there's a lot of stuff out there that you could end up doing. So
yeah, dude. Don't let your degree limit you.
Don't. It shouldn't. The whole idea of a degree is to give you more options. Why does it mean you only can do one thing? I mean, that never made sense to me.
Yep. Very, very true. Yeah, so just to wrap things off, so do you have any advice for like how do you deal with doubts you have, especially if you're going to a different career path? And do you have any tips to give to other people about on like just them pursuing the passion? Like, do you have any tips for them?
Oh, and I have one more question after you answer those questions.
Dude, that's such a great question. Honestly, I have to be upfront with you guys that given that I'm at the outset of my career, I don't feel like I'm any kind of authority on this, but I'll tell you how I feel personally anyway. I think that you have to bet on yourself. I don't mean you have to be a huge risk taker, but you have to bet on your own abilities and you have to bet on your own talent and skill, which means being self-aware. What is it that you're actually really good at and how can you do it? Because the corollary to that is that you may have got your way through a law degree, but you might not be cut out for law. And just because there's less doubt involved in getting into a career in law, it doesn't mean you won't fail. And in my opinion, if you're going to fail at something, you may as well fail at something that you love, something that gives you life, something that you really actually enjoy doing, that you feel like brings joy to other people. That's just the way I look at it. But truth be told, right? if you're talking about how do you deal with doubt, I honestly believe that like if you know yourself well and you're honest, and I mean like I'm my biggest critic when it comes to my skills and my technique, and how good I am at what I do, at whatever elements involved. Like some things I know I have so much to work on, some things I know I already can do really well. But it's about being super honest with yourself. If you have doubts about stuff that's coming from you, it's your own doubts. That's one thing. Then take that and let it motivate you to become even better at what you do. But if you're dealing with like doubts from other people or from society at large, let them talk, because they don't do what you do. Nobody does what you do. You do what you do. If you have your own doubts, go ahead. Use that to as a positive energy that allows you to get better at what you do. But if people are telling you like, this isn't something you should do, just be like, thank you. That's why you shouldn't do it. But I'm gonna do it anyway because I don't agree.
That's sass.
No, because honestly,
No, that was really good. Yeah.
Because doubt is a very powerful thing. Doubt is an incredibly powerful thing. It's very destructive. And if you're gonna doubt stuff, at least doubt it because you believe it. Don't doubt stuff even when you don't believe in that doubt. Just be honest with yourself.
Dang. Take that in, guys. That is some good advice over here.
Hey man, we're in our 20s. It's only gonna get we're only gonna have less and less energy the older we get. And at the point in which you have, so, not to sound sort of sad about it, whatever, but it's the reality of life, guys. If you're at the peak of your life, and I mean physically, energetically, and like you're in university, you have all this psychological, mental stimulation, you're learning so many things, be creative with it. Just do as much as you can with it. Obviously, focus on your studies, focus on the relationships you have and your basics, but, put in that extra effort, that extra time that you can spend on stuff that you absolutely love doing. And if it yields results for you, follow it. That's it. There's no reason for you to be like, wow, you don't want to be that guy in 50 years at a bar talking about, like, hey, I could have been a really great singer. Yeah, okay. Like it's your chance. It's your chance to make it happen if you want to or not. So yeah, like no one's gonna make you do it, especially if it's something that's different. Nobody's gonna make you do it because nobody believes it can happen. But if you believe you can do it, then absolutely do it. That's how I feel.
I feel like I'm listening to motivational talk. You sound like a motivational speaker, legit. No joke.
Thank you. That's
Has
really
anyone
kind.
ever told you that?
I've heard something like that before. Yeah, I've been told that I think it's nothing to do with me understanding life. It's just about me understanding myself. Like I know what makes me tick, and I know how I can live my life in order to be happy. And whether this is the same for everybody else or not, I don't know. But I know that for me, my happiness comes from a state of being, and that being is a creative being. I know that about myself. If I'm just doing stuff and I'm not being creative about it, then it just feels like I'm a machine, and I'm not a machine, so I can't do that.
Dang, it's so great that you understand so much about yourself, because I know a lot of people don't.
I don't.
They're
Yeah.
still, yeah.
We are
life.
we are the most complex thing that we will come across in this life. It's
That's
ourselves.
true.
But to understand yourself is to understand like life for you, because no one else is going to live your life. You're the only person qualified to do so. So instead of trying to figure out everything happening outside in this universe, like that takes more than one person. But if you understand yourself a little bit better, and I honestly think it comes down to like circumstances, how you react in circumstances, how events of your life make you feel. Like those strongest feelings, the most powerful ones, those are the things that come from who you really are. And you can suppress them, you can deny them, you can ignore them, you can try and make yourself fit into whatever mold you want. But do that if you want to. No issue with that. But at least understand them. Understand your feelings and your identity that's coming out from this stuff, and find a way to channel it into something that you enjoy doing, even if it's as simple as like having a group of friends that you can sit down with and like play chess if you really love chess, or kick a ball around if you really love football, or play some music if you want to jam with them or whatever. Have an outlet, have something that you can do. You don't have to be professional. And I think the world we live in today is so capitalistically dominated, which I don't think is a good or bad thing, but one of the offshoots of this is that people feel like it's a waste of time to do something that doesn't generate income. And that's just not true, because life is about a lot more than just what can generate income. You don't have to be marketable. You just have to be enjoying yourself. If you do something professionally that fulfills you financially and gives you stability, also do things that don't necessarily make you any money, don't necessarily further your career, but they allow you to grow as a human being. You have that joy, you have that balance in your life. That's only on you. Only you can do that for yourself.
Dude, that's such a great mentality. Like, don't do something you don't like and don't have the passion for a living, because then you'll just be bored every single day and you'll be dreading every single morning going to work.
It really depends. Like, if your goal is really long term, right? Like, I've got friends who, sorry, I hope I'm not talking too much, but like, I'm just a few things just came to mind, right? Like, I have some friends who, like, in Singapore on scholarships and stuff, and they just finished a uni and stuff, and they're bonded here, so they have to work here for 3 years, 4 years, right? And most of them are actually involved in very corporate job stuff that they don't really enjoy. And you can see that it's like, obviously they're grateful because, they got a free university and stuff out of this, and they're going to get paid while they're working here. So it's not like they really lose anything, but for these next few years, they're going to be involved in an industry that they're not necessarily passionate about. But take a long-term view of your life. Like, what you're getting out of this is experience, you're learning skills. Again, like, I thought uni was dumb until I realized how much it was teaching me apart from law. Because you can learn law on Google. You don't need you don't need to go to a university to learn law. You really don't.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, most of it is just stuff that you go and read up on your own anyway. But there's the skills that you learn, the way that you're challenged, the environments that you're put in. I think if you can do that in university, you're going to learn even more in a corporate setting because it's challenging, it's tough, it's competitive. You learn so much of stuff about yourself in that regard. And then once you've paid off your bond, or once you've paid off your student loan, or done whatever it is, however long it takes, please remember that wasn't your passion. And please remember that now you're free, or at least now you have the opportunity to go and do something. Do it. You only got this one life to do it, unless you're Hindu, in which come back next time and try again. But the point is, you have this life, and you put in this effort, you put in this time to really just, give yourself the space to approach your life with an autonomous sort of energy. Use that. Be the person that you want to be, the whole person, not just the professional one.
What do I say? Motivational speaker right there.
Yeah, I can't add on to that. I think you
Honestly,
did it perfectly.
isn't it right? He deserves
guys
like
are so
a
sweet, man.
period. Pause.
Life is worth being passionate about, guys. Life is worth being passionate about. It's so much fun.
Wow. Okay. Oh, back to my question. Okay, like it's like going way back, but how was it for you transitioning back to uni after taking a year off? And you didn't review any material during your year off because you were so focused on music.
Yeah, good point. Well, the thing is, I actually really love law. So at certain points while I was here on my gap year, I was still reading cases and brushing up on certain things because, like, I just find it interesting. So, like, yeah, because contracts and stuff, like, these are very practically applicable areas of knowledge, things that you can use and you can use in your personal life as well. So when I was signing my contracts with my studio, I read a couple of cases to just make sure that everything was above board and, like, understand what the rules are in Singapore and stuff like this. So I was in touch, but absolutely not, like, studying. I was not, like, reading up on, like, the rest of my academic year or whatever. But here's the crazy thing. And again, I can't speak for anybody else, but I found the challenge of producing my album so substantial that when I went back into law school, I found it easy, man. Like, honestly, I was like working part-time. I was learning how to, like, add harmonic components to my music. I was trying to figure out, like, the entire music production process. I was trying to organize logistically, getting the right people to sing the right songs, marketing, everything like this. And then I went back and they were like, read this and then write this essay. I was like, yeah, I can do that. Like, no problem, dude. Like,
you're like,
honestly,
easy.
that's just
so, like, you learn.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you learn a lot of, like, you learn more during your
100%
than you did in law, essentially.
It was clearly different things, but, like, for me, it was like, if I'm taking a gap year, it's not to do less, it's to do more. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a holiday. It's an investment. I'm investing a year of my time into this whole different field, and the investment academically immediately paid off because, like, I was writing continuously throughout this 1 year. So to come back and continue writing law was like, yeah, I'm in the zone now. It's just a different topic.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay. So to wrap it all up, I know you've mentioned a lot of advice earlier, But what's your final points that you want to share to the people who are um, struggling to pursue their passion, or they're having doubts about it? And yeah, what advice do you have for these people?
I have to say this again. I'm not giving any advice out here today. I'm just speaking about my experiences and like
Okay.
what makes sense to me. I don't claim to know that any of this is objectively true or that this approach would work for anybody else. But I guess that brings me back to my point, which was know yourself. Like, ask yourself difficult questions and analyze your responses to these questions, because you'll understand whether your beliefs are things that you truly hold and think are true, or your beliefs are things that you believe should be true because someone told you they're true, or your society told you they're true, or your university told you they're true. Oftentimes, I think your passions are those things which stem from the truths that you hold innately, those things which come from you that are trying to enter the world, rather than the things that are already in the world that are trying to enter you and become a new habit of yours or a new worldview of yours. Like, we all have so much to give, right? Like, if you have like
Rapping.
this energy that like is creative, or even if it isn't creative, like my point is like, if you are currently doing a medical degree but what you really want to do is start a startup, like, do it. Like, I'm sure you would have met people in university who know people, or who know people who know people. The network gets so big once you enter university that it's a question of like, are you willing to bet on yourself? Do you believe that you're capable of doing it? Or after all of this time, do we still believe that you need a degree for everything? Because I didn't get a degree in rap. In fact, I don't think one exists. The point is, at the end of the day, if you have the skills, you have the skills. And if you know the people that you need to, because most of these endeavors, starting a business, doing a creative endeavor or whatever, hardly ever is it a one-man show. It's collaborating with people, right? So it's not just about, do I believe in myself? It's like, do you believe that you have the capacity to get the right team for whatever that project is? And like the two of you guys, you're in quarantine in a pandemic, and you're doing this amazing podcast. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, nobody gave you a degree in podcasting, but you're doing it, right? Because you believe that you can do it, and I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. So I'd like to turn the same question.
Thanks.
I'd like to turn the question back on you guys. What do you think people should be doing if they're struggling with their passions? How should they approach it, in your opinion?
Ooh, he turned it back on us. Okay. Karan can go first.
Okay, I'll take this one. So look, again, what Nikhil said, we're obviously not giving advice here. Just everything's from my perspective. Trying to understand myself. Yeah, because I do not want to, do the conventional way, get into law and stuff like that. I want to do something different, essentially. Podcasting, doing my own startup. Especially when you're young, like 20. Just do what you like, do what you love. Just you have so much energy in the world, especially during this 10 years. Why not just do it?
Sorry to interrupt you, but you have a great voice. If you went into some sort of vocal-based media creation,
no, Nikhil has a great voice. I don't think I have a great voice.
Dude, I know I have a good voice, but you have a great voice too. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. I really
I've
like.
never
be in his
considered it. No, dude, I can't sing for crap, but
No.
I don't mind trying.
I think you have a nice tone. Your speaking voice has a great tone, and there's a lot of things you can do with that. I'm just putting that out there for you and your listeners. And if anybody hears this and they're like, hey, I need someone to record an ad for me, go to Kamran. He's your guy.
Ooh, so you have an ad voice.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got a nice sounding voice. That's just what. Sorry, I interrupted you for this. My bad. Carry on.
No, it's fine. Actually, no. The thing is, a lecturer told me that before. Like I think it was one of my landlord presentation, and the lecturer actually said like, you have quite a good voice and stuff. I actually got first. It's the only first I got. So nice. I was like, yeah. So I've heard it before.
First for landlord?
Yeah.
What a boss.
No, only for a presentation. I got 2-1 overall.
Dude, still.
But
you don't want to know what I got for land, bro.
This is a presentation. Yeah.
Dude, you can become a DJ.
Oh yeah, I was listening to you and I was like, I could see you hosting a radio show, 100%.
DJ? Okay. Oh? This is something I haven't.
Sorry, I think you lagged a little bit there.
Yeah, you liked the bit.
Oh man, I feel bad for you, Kamran.
Sorry. Oops.
Wait.
So
We're
Wait.
like
Okay.
interrupting,
Okay.
we're
Go.
interrupting you, my bad.
crap.
Wait. Just turn off your camera and.
Yeah, maybe turn your camera off. That might be better. At least we'll have like the conversation.
Okay, you're back now.
Okay.
Alright,
After-
it's just
Yeah, we're
me.
good. Testing 1, 2. Hey.
Can
Yeah, you're live
you guys hear me?
streaming. Yeah. It's all fine. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question was so what's the question again?
No,
So
we
the
were
question
talking about how
was-
you have. Oh yes, I forgot about
So
the
the-
question. We were just
The
talking about how you have a good
the overall
voice.
question for both of you guys was, what do you think people should do if they're young, they're struggling with their passions, and they want to do them, but they have all these competing interests of like being professional and like pursuing their degree and all this kind of stuff. My overall question is, what do you think people could be doing, and how do you think they should approach them, and how do you approach them yourselves? Given that you started this podcast, but along the way through your answer, I also decided to tell you that, by the way, I think you have a dope voice. So that's what just said.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. So in my situation, I think I'm quite blessed enough, my family is quite supportive. I understand
Right.
some people want to make money because, they can't really afford to pursue their passions. They want to get
Right.
into they want to make money, pay back their
Absolutely.
loans or whatever it is. Yeah, so I think you have to, I don't know, like I understand from their perspective as well, but in my situation, I'm quite blessed. My parents support me financially.
Right.
So I can
Right,
definitely
right.
pursue things on the side. For example, podcasting.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just, and I don't think yeah. So I'm just also doing like a startup with friend as well. I can't really say what it is as well, but
Sure.
I feel like there's so much energy in the world now. I'm just trying out new different things. If I fail, I fail. Like I just have the mentality. If I fail, at least I know, at least I limited something that I wanted to do, and I know
Absolutely.
I don't have any regrets. I don't look back at it. I'm like, oh crap, no, I should have done that in my 20s.
Absolutely. Dude, actually, you raise a brilliant
Yeah.
point. The younger you are and the more financially stable and privileged you are, the higher your
Yep.
risk appetite is in terms of your career. And I can speak from personal experience in this regard. Because if I had 3 kids, for example, and I had to immediately start paying off some insane loans or something like this, or like my rent or whatever, then taking a year off and doing an album definitely would not have been on the cards. So for the
Yes.
listeners, I want to reiterate this point that this is not advice. This is me speaking from my personal experience and the decisions I made based on my circumstances.
Yep.
That is not to say that not everything you're passionate about is a huge risk. I think my main area of like contention for what anyone can do is to analyze yourself and what your skills are that align with your passions, and to discover what commercially viable outlets there are for those skills. Like I'd be happy to just go and rap all day, all night for the rest of my life, but that's not necessarily the easiest and most practical way to go about making a career out of your life. But I could do professional writing, and that still engages a skill of mine that I'm passionate about. Your passions are your passions, but how do they translate into skills? How do those skills translate into practical work? That's kind of the approach that I take.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because like skills can be applicable in so many ways. It doesn't have to be one career path. So I really like your idea of you pursuing your career in writing, and that definitely helps in your career in rap as well. So it's like basically
Absolutely.
killing 2 birds at one stone, which I never thought of it that way actually until you brought it up. So that's an excellent point.
It's definitely
What-
one of those things where, like, if I wasn't paying attention, then I would have missed it. I would have considered them to be 2 separate things. But the fact is, I love writing, and I realized that I was doing it in both my law degree and in my music, and that doing law made my music better. Once I realized that connection, I was like, okay, then these are just labels. Realistically, it's writing.
Oh yeah.
And I've had many different things that writing has involved, and each of them has added some element of technique to the thing. But as an example, right, like I have a friend who did a diploma in like I think he did like computer sciences and stuff like this, but throughout his national service, because he's Singaporean as well, he discovered that his main like skill and passion was people and connecting to people and talking, and his personal relationship skills were so strong that he was like, dude, I could do this long term, like this computer science thing, and go for it, and I like it, but this makes me feel alive. And he actually went into insurance and marketing and sales and stuff like this, despite the backgrounds not aligning at all, because he realized like, okay, this is a qualification that opens a door for me, but I already have the skill. People come in here with that skill, like a mass communications diploma or whatever, to try and indicate, hey, I have this skill. But that's just a qualification. People don't hire you for a qualification. People hire you for a skill.
Preach.
You know what
Definitely.
I mean? So you got to know what your skills are, because in the end, that's what you offer to businesses. That's what you offer to projects. That's what you offer to employers. I can do this thing. I don't just have a piece of paper, you know?
Oh, that's
Yeah. Because I'm currently interning at Microsoft, and
Oh, dude,
yeah.
what a
So
flex.
sorry to bring.
No, no.
Yeah, it is a.
No, I'm
no,
fucking with
because-
you. Carry on.
Because what you said there, my boss said. So like,
There you go.
we don't hire you based off your qualification. We hire you based off your skills. You don't need to have a degree to get into Microsoft. As long as you have the
100%.
skills, like
100%.
Yeah,
When I
and-
was looking for someone to collaborate with me on my album, if
Yeah.
somebody just sent me like a resume and said, "Yeah, I have a degree from LaSalle in singing," I'd be like, "Let me hear you sing, lah. I don't care about your fucking paper, man. Can you sing this hook or not?"
yeah.
That's right.
What
Yeah,
we want
yeah.
in the end is end product, which requires quality, which requires skill, in that order. So if you come at me with your degree, then it's like indicating that I have this quality, but do you have the skill? That's the thing.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's just that you just have to do what they want you to do. You know, your
Yeah.
degree is just there. It's just there. It's just a piece of paper at the end of the day. It's sad to
Right,
say, especially
right.
spending so much money on it. But it does help you, like, open up your horizon. It definitely refines your skills here and there. But you don't have to, do
No,
a law
absolutely not.
degree or get your doctor or whatever it is. Yeah, that's why I definitely preach that.
That's
Sorry,
really useful
just came to my.
if you're in university already is go and speak to your career counselors, like your career guidance officers and stuff, especially in Leeds. They're fantastic at the union, because these are people who are well aware of this stuff that we're talking about. We're like talking about it from a very sort of abstract and amateur level because we're very young, but like these people do this as a career. They take your degree, your skills, and what you have to provide, and they look at all the potential applications of these things. I think why that's useful just to go and check out is because you might be mind blown as to the applications of the skills that you might not know this is a skill. And this is the main reason. When you're in a degree program, almost everyone around you will have similar skills to you. So because of that thing, you won't necessarily look at it and be like, oh, wow, what a skill. Like if I look at around law school, everyone can write. But not everyone's going into a career in writing, even though almost all of us could. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Almost everyone who does a career in a degree in law could, in some form or another, go into a career in writing if they wanted to. What's really useful while you're doing your degree is to try and find out, like, okay, I'm getting this qualification in law. Law is not a skill, right? You can't be like, oh, I'm good at law. That makes no sense. Like,
Yeah.
what part of the entire industry of law are you really good at? Are you great at researching? Are you a good orator? Are you good at litigation? Are you good at like argumentation, that kind of thing? Like, in what specific field and stuff like this? Doing all of this stuff, which is what any degree exposes you to, right? Like a degree is like a very short introduction to a career. In these 3 years, you get a taste of what the next 30 years might be like if you go into any one of these particular industries, right? All you have to do is do more, like way more of this stuff at a higher level of practical efficiency and working with people in a firm and stuff like that. But this exposure is enough for you to get a sense of like your strengths. And those strengths oftentimes are really those things that like bring out your skills. Like if you're a good speaker, you'll find that like, wow, for my presentations, like you mentioned earlier, like my presentations, I tend to get higher grades. That's because you already had that innate skill. And within your degree program, you're likely to be exposed to many different circumstances in which you can find out what your skills are. Use those. That's how I think you can go beyond just the scope of like, oh, I did a law degree, I have to go and practice law. Definitely not. There's so many skills.
Nikhil, you just say it all. You said it. You definitely can say it better than I can say it. So
Dude, my
That's
bad.
skill.
I asked you guys this question. What
No,
is
it's
Skill,
fine.
dude.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we definitely answered how to
We've
basically.
answered more questions than we asked.
Ah, That's a sign of a good conversation. Dude, it was so much fun coming on this podcast, guys. I'm really
Yeah,
glad
thank you so
that
much for
invited
joining
me.
us.
It's
Yeah,
such a
thanks
good
Nikhil
idea.
so much.
So where do you see this podcast going? Who are you guys like are you putting it on Spotify? How is it being spread?
Yep.
So
we'll be.
it's on Spotify
Yeah,
and
you
YouTube.
can go.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
And we're targeting mostly students, so our topics revolve around students and their issues and stuff like that.
That's
But
fantastic.
but we might expand and talk about other things when we can. We'll see
Absolutely.
how it
I think
goes.
it's such a fantastic idea, guys, because there's never been a time where university students would be so uncertain as to what the hell is coming next, right? Like as it
Yeah,
is,
that's true.
as it is, nothing is guaranteed, right? But now, like the job market is constricted. There's like movements are constricted. It's a very strange time for students. But a podcast like this, I think is great, man. You guys are really doing something awesome.
Thanks,
Hey,
dude.
thanks a lot.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us on our podcast. I think this is the end of it. So let's give a round of applause for Nikhil.
Oh man!
Thanks a lot, Nikhil. Yeah, dude. Thanks a lot.
You guys
Go
are so
listen
kind.
to his album. Go listen to his
check me
album on
out.
Spotify. Yeah.
Check me out
Plug.
on Spotify. Nikhil Senan. It's just my name. The album is called
Here
Here
is
Is Now. And
Let's
if you
go.
like it, go and listen to Daniel Sid music as well. He's my cousin. He's put out great music on Spotify as well. There's a lot of great music and musicians coming up in Singapore and Malaysia and stuff like this. So if you guys are interested, go and check them out. Share it with your friends because that's how you give creatives a chance to make it in this industry, is by having some sort of organic growth.
Yes.
So yeah,
Support local
and-
artists.
Support art in general. Support the art. that we
Yeah.
get. And if you happen to love us, don't support us because we're local. Support us if you actually do love it. That's the goal. And look out for more music and more stuff coming soon.
Yep. Thank you. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.